Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the presence of the Rev, because I'm going to be speaking to the Rev very shortly. It could be divine this next half an hour or so. So do stay tuned and find out all about his new album. And if you want to, you may pray, but not too much. Okay?
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
Reverend Billy Simmons, how are you?
Good. How are you? It's
Yeah,
good to
I'm not
talk to
too
you
bad.
again.
We don't mind people praying. People can pray. That's absolutely fine, but not to the point. Not to the point where they start to meditate and disappear off and can't listen to us anymore. Save that for another time. Not when you're doing not when you're listening to a podcast, and certainly not if you're listening to this podcast on repeat whilst driving down the motorway. That's a definite no. Both hands on the wheel and both eyes open. There you go. So you have a new album out.
I do.
How long's this taken to write?
It was actually really fast. I mean, I think since the last time we spoke, was that in 23 or 22?
23, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was already, we were in the studio for this one already at the time. So it was done in October of 23, and then it didn't come out, and then yeah, I kind of get going pretty good
So
when I set my mind to it, I guess.
You've sat on it for a while then.
Yeah, I did. I didn't really I didn't want to put it out immediately after the other one, and I think there were some things that you said that resonated with me a little bit, and there were ways that I wanted to go with it, because the last record, I played everything on it, because I mean, it was that started in 2020.
Yeah.
And then it was difficult to find people to play with, so I just did everything. And I think, for this one, I had an opportunity to work with some friends who are working a lot right now. So that's
cool.
really
We'll talk
nice.
about some of those friends in a second.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I said something that resonated with someone. That's amazing. What did I say?
You said, and I quote, let's see if I can find this. When you listen to an album like yours, as a vocalist, I want to sing over bits of it. So how does that then feel, knowing that as someone that's producing these pieces of music that don't have vocals on them, that maybe listeners out there are visualizing vocals over the top of that? And I'd had so many people ask me that. And I mean, it kind of, when you come up with a finished piece of work, to get those questions is kind of like, it's done. I don't know what to say. So, but it kind of made me think about a lot of things that had happened in my life as an artist since I began with other vocalists that kind of had maybe shamed me or something. So I don't think that I ever really approached vocals because of that. And so I think you saying that kind of made me want to go, maybe I do have something to say. I think we spoke a little bit about that, because even at that time, there was a bunch of garbage happening, which of course has now gotten worse.
Oh, it's escalated.
The
garbage has escalated into a cartoon beyond all cartoons.
Oh my, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. I've spoken a lot this week to artists who are all saying the same thing, which is they just cannot see past what's going on at the moment. And one of the questions I keep asking, and quite interesting, because if most of this was finished around 2023, and as we say, a lot of stuff has escalated since then, is how do you feel about the statement that music is going to make about this time? Because I just feel like it's so weird, the time that we're living in at the moment. There's so much stuff going on which we cannot fathom, that our music is going to reflect on that. And I always like to think about, well, what's it going to be like in 10 years from now? Do you know what I mean? If we listen back to this now, that's coming out now, that is from a time like this, and I've said it more than once this week, hopefully we're still here. But if we are, what do you think it's going to say? How do you think you're going to look back on this album in 10 years' time?
Well, the follow-up's already pretty much done too, so
that's
I've
cool.
got a lot of stuff coming. I feel like I may sound like an old man when I talk about this, because these kids now, the things that they're doing are just,
come on, let's go for it.
It's like, dude, I think that I'm looking at this time right now at music that, I mean, when I started going, when I started playing in bands, I mean, it was in this country, it was a Reagan administration. I think Thatcher was still,
yeah.
And there was a whole bunch of just shit going on at the time with everywhere too. And it's like, but that was a whole punk rock music here, like that whole thing. So there was a lot being said. I mean, I remember every flyer, advert, anything that would be out for a band would have Reagan, hanging, or like anybody else, Thatcher, just like all of the stuff that was happening, because it was, the 80s.
But we also had a lot more
vocalization about it.
Vocal political satire, right? I mean, we had things like
absolutely.
spitting
Well, you
image
can't do that now because you're gonna get shipped off to Venezuela or somewhere else. I mean, and that sounds funny, but that's what's fucked up. Is it here now? Like, you're not safe. I mean, you're not safe in a way that, like, I don't think we've ever not been safe in this country. But I mean, they're literally like taking people places and you're just not hearing about it. So I don't think you can do that. You can't satirize stuff unless you're willing, I think, to get taken away for it. I mean, that's the hill that I guess I'll die on, because I think this is all bullshit. And I think the kids aren't saying a fucking thing about it right now. And I think it's disgusting. I think what I'm seeing in music is like, I mean, social media, like that selfishness and everything, it's just so pervasive. It's like they're writing songs about themselves and nothing else. And and I guess it's always happened, but I feel like when I started doing this, like as a teenager, people, or whatever you're doing,
stuck it up to the man, right?
Yeah. Where the fuck is that?
Yeah. Where's the
so I guess
where's the kind of political angle in music that was there, that was like, people wanting to change the world, where I mean, even going back to like birth of punk rock and whatever else, where's that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just I think I'm going to look back at this time, and unless they pull something out of their hat, I'm just going to look back ashamed that we couldn't do more to get the younger people to really listen and engage, because that's what got me listening and engaging with stuff. Like,
it's an
and
interesting argument, isn't it? And it's an interest. I mean, you could take that even further to say, with what happened, certainly in this country, I think there's artists that feel that way with Brexit, and then how Brexit kind of made it much more difficult for English artists to go on tour around the world, etc.
yeah,
And how we're not supporting grassroots music, we're not keeping smaller clubs open, we're not putting money into that side of things. You do wonder. You get to a point where you wonder, actually, we think that this was just like progression, like how things moving on technology wise and everything else, and we can blame the music industry and whatever else. But you then wonder, actually, is this not just about that? Is this about people controlling people's voices? Yeah.
You think?
Could be.
I mean, if the shoe fits, and everything that I see here is like, I mean, and that, I'm trying not to be myopic in any of this, but like I've got a lens to look through right now here.
Yeah.
And I think we're limited on what we can see. I think the powers that be here are shutting off access to media. So we're definitely limited. And anyone that doesn't read and see that, like, so I don't know how much information I'm getting, but they're definitely cutting off access and stuff.
Wow. Which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, but this was happening. This started. The curious thing about this from my end of it, really am sorry that I'm turning this into a political thing, but it is. I mean, and it affects the whole world. And it's not just the US, but the US is like the most prolific clown car right now, I think, that exists.
Yeah. Have you got an idea? Can I ask you, do you have an idea what it looks like from the lens of somewhere else as well? I mean, are you very conscious of what it looks like when we watch it on TV in Britain, for
Oh,
example?
absolutely not. I don't think so. I mean, I've got BBC and Reuters and AP, and I'm trying to get as much as I can. The Guardian,
Yeah.
like all of these things, Al Jazeera. I try to look at stuff, and it's just like, I don't know if it's as important to the rest of the world as it is here. But like,
oh no,
here,
it definitely is. It definitely is. I mean,
it's fucking weird here. I mean, in Chicago where we live, I mean, we've got ICE agents. We've had to privatize parts of the salon that we own so that if agents come in to try and take people, which they're actively doing, people with green cards. I mean, it's disturbing and disheartening, and I wish more people were saying stuff about it, but I think they are. I just think it's not getting out for whatever reason.
Yeah, there's an apathy, isn't there? I mean, that's part of the problem. Is there is a general apathy in society. I mean, people are almost, dare I say it, too busy, and they're so busy with the pace of life and everything else or whatever. Getting people to stop and think is really hard these days. Do you not think?
I think people have always been busy. I mean, when I think that's a cop out.
Yeah,
I really do. I think it's a cop out. I think
it's a
people are
different
burned
kind
out.
of, it's a different kind of busy though.
I think
Right?
people are burned out. I think that this media machine that's in this country that is like spread all over the world and infected other media machines are they've pounded shit in, and they want to keep pounding it in. I mean, they're saying this. That I'm gonna regress to what I was saying earlier. In 2016, up until now, I mean, Donald Trump has told everyone everything he's gonna do beyond no uncertain terms. No one's listening.
Right.
I mean, I think it's insane that no one's listened. And then when they do stuff, and then the blinders that are on, like the I mean, the cognitive dissonance and these bias confirmations that people have. I mean, you can't get through. I mean, it's nuts.
We certainly over here have a vision on it, or a lens on it, where I mean we've got TV documentaries which are very cynical of what's going on over there. That's for certain. I don't think we're just
Well, I mean, there's
taking it.
the guy that makes the Teslas that did 2 Roman salutes online visibly, and then
Yeah,
more people join suit with that. I mean, we've normalized so much.
yeah.
That's not okay, man. That's
It
fucked up.
is.
I
It
mean, it's
is.
not okay. You don't get up and do a Sig Heil.
No,
I mean,
it's
so I mean, we're like, this administration is like, for all practical purposes. I mean, it's no. I think it's probably worse than the Nazi machine that Hitler had going on.
question for you. When on your TV, because we obviously don't see the other side of it, on your TV, when we get shown senators coming out of meetings and whatever saying we don't understand what's just gone on in there, do you get shown that? When we get shown from the inside people saying this is crazy, right, at top level, but do you get shown that?
Yeah, we get shown some of it. My question is always, then why don't you do something about it?
Yeah.
So I don't see that they are. I mean, the only thing I can do is what I'm doing. I can
Yeah,
write about it. I can
people are
encourage
scared, right?
people
Yeah.
to listen. But I mean, really, for better or worse, like, I have to think about, I mean, it's getting real weird here. And
Yeah.
like, we've got friends that have got grandparents from Germany and other, that's the big one. When people from those places are going like, we've seen this before. We know where this is headed.
Then
And
that
no
gets
one's
worrying.
listening to them.
Yeah.
But anyone will see me and say, well, I mean, that was there and that was different. It was like, no, it's not. We're throwing away basic human rights of like everyone. We
I
don't care.
I
And we
certainly know. I've had some conversations with some fairly good musician friends out in America that where some of them have said, I'm getting out. I'm
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
close to the Canadian border. I'm gonna walk out
as
of
am
here.
I, which is great. But even in saying that, somebody could watch this now. I mean, nothing's fucking safe. And I sound like the crazy conspiracy theorist guy saying that, but the reality is you're not safe now in a way that we've never been in our lifetime, I don't think, in this country anyway. And hopefully you and people watching this in other countries will never have to experience that in the same way. Because, I mean, they're passing laws to harm people. They're not passing laws to make people better. They're doing things to harm people and keep them from so many just basic decencies that a government should be offering their civilians, and they're just not doing it.
I don't know that. I don't know that any of us are safe. I think there's, I think I think we're all, we should, as a global community, we should understand that we're all responsible for each other as well.
Right? I agree. And try to help each other. That seems to have left.
Yeah.
The global community. Except for the EU, which I think seems fantastic. It seems like they really are trying to rally, from my perception.
Yeah.
To go like, hey,
which we decided we'd leave. Madness. But there we go.
But it's like, it seems like finally they're getting together and going like, we need to do
something.
We need to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will negatively affect both of our countries. Our little teeny countries. Like the United States is teeny. I mean, it's
a lot bigger than here. It's a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not. I mean,
I wonder how young people deal with it in a way. Actually, I should ask some of my kids. Maybe I will at the weekend. I mean, my eldest one is 23 now. Do they even think about it? Does it actually?
Some don't
worry them. Does it pervade into their mind at all that where all of this is going, or is it? Do they just think, well, what will be, and we just have to get on? I definitely, and I'm not going to speak for everybody because that's always a mistake. There are great people out there that will always pick up the, standard and sort of run with it. But I just feel like compared with when I was young, and now I'm sounding old, right? But when I was young, I just felt we had like a real hunger and a real optimism to try and sort stuff out in the world for the better. And it just seems to have dissipated. But
I agree now. I mean, I think social media has totally destroyed a large part of that. I think that it's taken the potential for community. I had a conversation with one of my friends yesterday about, well, so they were trying to say social media's had some really good effects on the world, like it's brought communities together. I'm like, I think you might mean the internet. Please tell me you mean the internet, not social media. I think the internet has the ability to bring people together.
Completely.
I think social media has the ability to make people selfish and narcissistic and only care about themselves and how many followers they can get. Which is the antithesis of community.
Yeah. It's really interesting, actually, because me and a colleague, so I run a social media business for my sins. And we're actually are about to do a webinar on how to go viral on LinkedIn, right? But the reason we're doing it is to completely see the reaction to it. And what we've done is we've worked out, we have completely and utterly worked out a formula, right? And the daft thing is that a lot of people will be really interested in that formula because they will want to feel like, I'm not getting seen. I'm not getting heard. I want to get heard. I want to talk about my business. I want to, I want to do better at this. And I can tell them how to do it. But what the caveat, I'm gonna ruin it for anyone. If you're listening to this now, don't tell those people that are coming because you'll spoil the surprise, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell them how to do it. And then I'm going to tell them why they shouldn't do it. Right? Because the thing is, one of the things that I go on about on LinkedIn all of the time is people don't think anymore. Right? And actually, this stuff's really easy. If you want something to really go big, right? You're not trying to put out stuff there that makes people think. You are not trying to put out stuff that encourages people to stop for 5 minutes of the day and go, wow, I've learned something there. You're not trying to get them to be involved in that. What you're trying to do is you're trying to entertain them with something they already feel comfortable with. Right? That's really sad. I was talking to Michael from Beauty and Chaos about this yesterday, and we were talking about that and how that's impacted music, right? And one of the ways that has impacted music is that a lot of people now are trying to copycat music in order to produce something that somebody already likes. And whilst all of us who've ever made music will have been influenced by other music in the past and will have taken like the best things that we've, heard and whatever and absorbed it and then channeled it into our own creativity. We're not talking about that. We are literally talking about being so lazy that I go, that's working. I have that. And I'm literally going to copy it and put it out again. It's like, and I guess the biggest example of that is the AI era as well, which is write me a song. Really? Well, and when you get to creativity being reduced down into, I'll sit here, I won't think, get that to do it, put that out, great. What's the point? What's the point anymore?
Yeah.
Fortunately, you've written an album that's nothing like that. So brilliant.
But I am using AI for videos. But in my defense,
that's cool.
I'm doing I think that's a really kind of interesting conversation to get into. But yeah, let's go with the record stuff.
Yeah. I'll briefly touch on it. I use AI all the time, right? But I use it in a creative manner, right?
That's what I do.
I've said this over and over again, folks. If you're going to use AI, it's got to be you've got to be the creative one, right? It's like any tool, right? Basically, if I give somebody a spade and send them out into the garden and say, there's a spade, there's some earth, and all they do is go and stick the spade in the earth, nothing happens, right? But you give it to a beautiful gardener, they dig a hole, they turn over the soil, they find the plant, they remove all the all of the extra earth, they put it in there, so it becomes a tool that makes beauty happen, right? Too many of you are just picking up a spade and putting it in the ground. That's all I'm going to say on the subject.
Agreed. Yeah.
There you go. So let's get on to the music, which is as ever wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate
and I'm going to say, because I always like to say immediate things that sprung to mind. Do you know, it's a bit like this album is a bit like I felt like if pop will eat itself did a prog album, this was it. There we go. That was my
I don't think that's such a bad thing.
No.
I like that. I like that observation.
Yeah.
I guess I
there's
don't ever think that it's proggy, but I think that I also have used some jazz phrasings in my chords, which has then permanently put me into jazz or prog stuff, which it gets referred to
yeah,
as, which I think is really interesting because I
but
don't.
that's where the pot will eat itself thing kind of redeems it. Do you know what I mean? There's this industrial nature to it as well. There's this sort of post-punk attitude going on as well, which means that it isn't pure sap. Which, do you know what I mean? So you've got the energy in there of something which wants you to demand your attention and get you to feel an immediacy, but then you've got these lovely layers on it and some beautiful transitions and journeys. There you go.
Thank you.
You can write that down and put that somewhere.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's funny. When we were in the studio and I was doing the vocals, like trying to work them out, it's crazy how this is like evolving, because after you said that, then literally I think that week I kind of went in and I had already had some lyrics written out for the new thing, and I started going through takes at Hypercube with Sanford Parker, who was also engineering at electrical at the time, because I think Steve was still around. Um, uh, he was like, I like it sounds kind of snotty. It's kind of, I'm like, well, I don't mean to. That comes naturally. Um, so it's like it was kind of cool. I mean, it was just, so I think that might be like that, maybe that pop thing. I have to go listen to more PWEI stuff.
It's great, right?
Yeah, I haven't in a long time. I don't listen to much stuff because I'm so busy trying to make stuff that I feel like I kind of don't get to listen to a whole lot of stuff anymore.
I just like that the I just like the sounds from that sort of time, Pop Will Eat Itself, Jesus Jones. There was another great.
Man.
Do you know what I mean?
I totally thought Jesus Jones was great. I mean, there are so many things that I like from that time period-ish that I always get like, oh man, from a lot of friends. Blur, I thought was great. I saw them at Brixton Academy. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. And I guess, yeah, probably sound wise, that there's still one of the most underrated Blur albums, I think, which is the second album. But that had that had some really songs like Advert from Blur that were the sort of such a rush, it's only about 2.5 minutes, something like that. But it had that kind of to it. Maybe before they got a little bit more symphonic a bit later on, and Damon started singing properly. But it was, I mean, there's a rush to all of that, And I just feel there was a lot. There's elements of that in what you've produced, which is great. So,
thanks. Thanks.
Was there a lyric that stood out for you? Was there something that stood out for you on this album?
I mean, they all do. They're different. I mean, there's so many. Did you? I sent you lyric sheets. I didn't know if you got those and
Yeah,
looked over any of them. I mean, I think they're all kind of really straightforward in my mind, but like I'm looking over my set list right now and thinking, um, which one? It's like when you were like leading in today and you were talking about people praying, and it's just like Aethers is one of the songs on it that's like part of the chorus is like they pray, but it's Prey. And there are a lot of things like that in this um record, that I think people will miss if they're not tuned into it, which is like um
what you're saying there, sir, is that there's a lot of subtlety, but if you take the time, you get it, you'll really get it.
yeah, I don't know if people will, which is kind of interesting and amazing and disheartening at the same time. Because I don't think we were talking about this last time. Kids don't listen to music the same way. People don't listen to music the same way. We've got such a short attention span. I mean, we don't buy records anymore to listen to the whole fucking record. We want to listen to a little bit of it to go like, I don't like that. Let's go on to something else.
Or to
I
go, we
mean,
have liked it, and then say, oh, that was great. Wasn't that
yeah,
20
I
seconds
hope.
great?
Yeah. And it's just like, and then move on to the next thing that is not connected with the other thing at all. Back to where community comes in. That's where community comes in. It's like it's been sapped away.
I'm going to leave you with some hope, light at the end of the tunnel. I think
It will not affect the next record at all.
I will. Okay, because it's already in the bag. But I do think that, and actually, I'm going to go back to my chat with Michael yesterday. I mean, I think one of the things he said right at the end was that he said, "Oh, one of the phrases we have in Beauty and Chaos is there's always a light," and there is always a light.
Yeah.
I think we had a chat about how dark times are and whatever, but there are people that care. There are people that value proper community over this kind of fake community thing that people have pervaded. And when it comes to music as well, excuse me, about to lose my voice. When it comes to music as well, I have started to talk to some youngsters who have said, "No, I'm starting to listen to music properly," and that actually there is a backlash, and I think that's a very human thing.
Good. Yeah,
I think that's a very human thing. I think that whenever you push things to an extreme with humanity, there will always be unfortunately, maybe a small core, but it has to start somewhere. But there will always be some people that go, "Nah, I'm not going to do it like that." And there are a group of youngsters who are beginning to actually crowd around record shops again and spend their time like listening and want to have listening parties and stuff. So
yeah, I think that's good. I think it's interesting. I don't think that I'm doom and gloom. Like, I don't think the past record was doom and gloom at all. I think it's about reality, and
Yep.
it's about drawing people's attention to those realities. I think absolutely there's hope. If there wasn't hope, I wouldn't be writing any of this. I wouldn't be doing any of this. I mean, what would the point be of it?
No, you might
I
as well
mean,
lay down and go to sleep. Yeah.
yeah, no, but I can't do that. I don't
Yeah.
like I believe enough in the younger people and the older people in this world to come together and see that, like, I mean, this is what all of this has to be about.
Yep.
I mean, to celebrate each other's differences I believe we can. I believe it's going to be rough before we get there. I think a lot of people are going to get hurt, but I think we'll get back there. I hope. I hope we get back there sooner rather than later.
Yep.
But yeah, I absolutely do think that there's hope. And I think that, like, hopefully, like, stuff like this and like these words will fire someone up and get someone going, like, well, uh, get them asking questions, get them curious, or get them pissed off that I sound the way that I sound, or want to prove me wrong. Please do prove me wrong.
Oh my word. And on that note, I'm just going to say, but firstly, thank you for coming today. I'll let you just promote the album in a minute, because that would be great. Because otherwise we'll forget to do it, and and then we're getting trouble with Shauna. Hi, Shauna. From PR. But I'm going to say the album after this next one is going to be called Sooner Rather Than Later. He hasn't written it yet, but that's the prediction. And it's going to be somewhere based on this conversation. And I want to say that community can work, and we have also started a community, so that's good, and I will invite you into it. So we now have the MyMusic community, and I'm trying to help musicians in there succeed, and business owners succeed as well. And I've got a lovely group of people already, or over 40 people already come together, and it's proper community. It's about actually bringing people together and helping everyone in that community to succeed, as opposed to make me rich, because I got fed up of watching other people do that, and I thought, no, we're going to do this the right way. So it's just, you can all take the power into your own hands, folks, when it comes to these things. You can either do it the right way, or you can be a tit about it. Thank you, Rev, for coming and talking to me today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Always a good time.
Always lovely to speak to you. So just before we go, do tell everybody name of the album and where they can get it from.
Eddie Derico is available now everywhere, I think. You can get it anywhere digitally. It's on The Orchard, through my record label, which is the Glue Factory in Chicago. There are a bunch of good people playing on it with me: Matt Walker, Solomon Walker, Alan Berliant. Sanford Parker is producing it. Yeah, just working with a lot of great people. John Arrow's done a lot of the animations. And then I'm kind of working on some newer videos with the aforementioned AI text to video generation stuff, which is really interesting and kind of shifting the way that I think about how my words are manipulated.
I love that. Folks, it's been the wonderful Rev Billy Simmons. I hope you've enjoyed that conversation. I'll warn you now, folks, if you've already listened to this, there was some political content involved. There you go. Too late now. Yeah, you've already listened to it. There we go. We will be back soon with more of the same from MyMusic. If you've enjoyed this, please do go and share it so that other people can get educated too. And until then, bye for now.